I wasn't supposed to stay. It was supposed to be a knock, a receipt, a polite "have a nice day." But she opened the door, and something in her eyes made the air feel different, heavier, softer. Her name was Clara. She said it like a small apology, as if she wasn't sure it mattered. Mid-40s, maybe older. Hair pulled back but not perfectly, a strand loose against her cheek. She had that kind of quiet grace that doesn't ask to be noticed. It just fills the room until you do. I handed her the grocery bags, careful not to crush the bread. She smiled, a small, tired curve of her lips. "Thank you," she said, her voice low, the kind that lingers even after the sound fades. I nodded, stepping back. "All good. Have a good. Would you stay for a minute?" she asked suddenly, almost laughing at herself. "Just 1 cup of coffee. I made too much." I hesitated. It was past 8. The sun had fallen into that blue hour where everything looks half-remembered. But she looked at me like she wasn't really asking about the coffee. So I said, "Sure." Inside, her kitchen was neat but lived in, dishes drying by the sink, a sweater draped over a chair, the smell of something faintly sweet in the air. She poured coffee into mismatched mugs, both slightly chipped. She sat across from me at the small table. The light above us buzzed softly. Outside, rain had started. A thin, whispering drizzle that blurred the window glass. I tried not to stare. Her hands were small, elegant, the veins visible under the skin. She traced the rim of her mug with her thumb, not drinking. "You deliver for the store down the street?" "Yeah," I said. "Just part-time, between classes." She nodded, like she already knew that somehow. "You look familiar. I think I've seen you before." "Probably," I said. "You order a lot." She smiled, this one different, real. "Igesido." The silence that followed wasn't awkward exactly. It was full, like something unspoken sat between us, waiting. I could hear the rain deepening outside, the faint tap-tap on the window. I shifted in my chair, fingers wrapped around the warm mug. "You live here alone?" Her eyes flicked to mine. "My son's at school. He's about your age." Something flickered across her face. Not shame, not guilt, something harder to name. Then she looked away, pretending to notice the kettle. "You must think that's strange, inviting someone in like this." "I don't," I said. Her eyes returned to mine, steady now. "You should." That made me smile before I could stop it. "Too late." She laughed, softly, covering her mouth like she didn't trust the sound. The kind of laugh that makes you want to protect it, to make it happen again. When the laughter faded, the quiet returned, but it wasn't the same quiet as before. It was charged, the kind that makes you notice every detail. The hum of the fridge, the faint smell of rain-soaked earth, the warmth of her knee brushing mine under the table. She didn't move it away. Neither did I. Then a sound. The front door unlocking. A voice, low male, calling, "Mom!" She froze. For a split second, everything, her eyes, her breath, her body, went still. Her hand brushed mine under the table, not by accident this time. "Don't say anything," she whispered. And just like that, the air in the room shifted again, from quiet to something almost dangerous. Her son's voice echoed from the hallway, heavy steps, the jangle of keys. She straightened, a quiet panic behind her composed face. "I thought you said he was away," I murmured. "I did." She stood, too fast, the chair legs scraping against the tile. "He came home early, I guess." The door clicked shut somewhere down the hall. She turned back to me, her voice low. "Go through the kitchen door." I started to rise, but she caught my wrist. Her hand was small, but her grip wasn't. It held me there, eyes locked. The seconds stretched, quiet except for the rain and the sound of her breath. Too close now, too real. Then she let go. "Go!" she whispered again, softer. I slipped out the back, into the drizzle, my heart still pounding like I'd done something wrong, or almost had. I told myself not to think about her. But the next evening, I found myself parked a block away from her house, engine off, lights dim. I didn't knock. I just sat there, watching the faint glow in her kitchen window. 2 days later, she ordered again. When she opened the door this time, she didn't look surprised. "Hi," she said quietly. "You're early." Traffic was light. She stepped aside, the scent of coffee and rain in the air again. Same table, same chipped mugs. Her son wasn't home. We sat. She didn't offer coffee right away. Just studied me, like she was trying to decide something. "You remind me of someone," she said at last. "Your son?" I asked. Her smile was faint, but not amused.
No.
"Someone before him." She took a slow breath. "I was 22 once. Thought I knew everything. Fell in love with a man 10 years older. He left. I told myself I'd never be the one who should have known better again." Her fingers tapped against her mug, restless. "What about you?" she asked. "Someone waiting for you?" I shook my head. "Not really." She tilted her head, eyes searching. "That's too careful an answer." I shrugged. "Maybe I'm just careful." Something flickered in her eyes. Approval or pity, or something else entirely. For a while we just sat, the silence thick but not empty. I watched her reach for the sugar, noticed the faint tremor in her hand. When she passed it across the table, our fingers brushed. A brief touch, nothing dramatic. But it was enough. Her hand lingered a fraction too long. Then she withdrew it, eyes falling to the table. "People talk," she said finally. "They always do." I leaned back. "Let them." She looked up at me, startled, or maybe impressed. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving a silver sheen on the window. The air between us was warmer now, almost electric. She stood slowly, crossing to the counter, pretending to busy herself with something that didn't need doing. When she turned back, her tone had softened. "You should go," she said, but it didn't sound like she meant it. I didn't move. For a long moment, neither of us did. Then she reached out, her hand resting on my shoulder, light, uncertain. "Thank you," she murmured, though for what, I didn't know. I looked at her hand, then at her face. "For what?" She smiled faintly. "For staying longer than you should have." She started calling it coincidence. "I didn't mean to order again," she'd say, with a small shrug, a nervous smile, and I'd pretend to believe her. It was the third visit that week. The same kitchen, the same chipped mugs, the same soft light that somehow made her look younger, or maybe just less careful. The world outside went on. Rain, traffic, chatter. But here, time felt slowed, stretched thin between words we didn't say. She stood close beside me, reaching for a jar on the shelf, the faint scent of her perfume brushing my skin. I didn't step back. Neither did she. Her voice broke the silence. "You shouldn't keep coming. Then stop ordering." Her laugh was quiet, but it cracked. "That's not fair." "Neither is this," I said, softer now. She turned, close enough that I could see the line of her throat move as she swallowed. "You're a boy," she said, but it didn't sound like a reason. It sounded like she was trying to remind herself. "I'm not," I said. Her eyes searched mine, as if testing the truth of it. Then her phone buzzed on the counter, loud, cutting through the quiet. She flinched. A name flashed on the screen. Daniel. She didn't answer, didn't move to silence it either, just stared until it stopped. "Your son?" I asked. She nodded once. "He's been asking questions. About me. About why I've been home so much." She gave a small, uneasy laugh. "He thinks I'm lonely." The word lonely hung in the air like a confession neither of us wanted to touch. I shifted closer, slow enough that she could stop me if she wanted. She didn't. "You are," I said quietly. She blinked, her breath catching. "And you think you can fix that?" "No," I looked down at her hand resting on the counter. Pale still, a tremor just starting at the edge of her fingers. "But I keep showing up anyway." Her lips parted, a breath, almost a word, and then another sound. A knock at the door. She stepped back fast, too fast, knocking her mug over. Coffee spilled, dark and spreading across the counter. "Stay here," she whispered, wiping her hands on a towel before slipping out to the hallway. I could hear voices. A woman's this time, laughing lightly, asking if she was busy. Clara's voice was tight, polite. Just finishing dinner, she said. Come by tomorrow. When the door shut again, she returned, her face pale, her breathing uneven. She's my neighbor, she said. She talks. I nodded. She looked at the spilled coffee, then at me. This is wrong, she whispered. Then tell me to go. She didn't. The air between us went still again, heavy and fragile. I reached for the towel, brushing her hand as I did. She froze. Her fingers curled, just slightly around mine. Not holding, but not letting go either. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a breath. You shouldn't make it this hard. I smiled, not out of arrogance, but something closer to surrender. You already did. She closed her eyes. And in that half-second, the distance between her breath and mine, the whole room felt like it might break. The next time I saw her, she didn't open the door right away. I could hear movement inside. Footsteps, then silence, then the click of the lock turning. When she appeared, her hair was loose, eyes shadowed with something she wasn't trying to hide anymore. I told myself I wouldn't answer this time, she said quietly. And yet here you are. I held up the grocery bag like a peace offering. You ordered. Her smile barely lifted. Maybe I wanted to see if you'd still come. Inside, the house felt different. Too still. No TV, no radio, no sound but the rain tapping against the window again. The same kind that had followed us since the start. She moved around the kitchen, not meeting my eyes, until finally she stopped by the counter, hands braced against it. Do you ever think about it? She asked. About what? About what this looks like. I took a step closer. All the time. Her breath caught. A small sound, like she hadn't expected me to say it. She turned then, facing me. I can't be that woman, you know? What woman? The one who should have known better. I didn't answer right away. The distance between us felt thinner than air. You already said that, I murmured. She looked up sharply, and for the first time, there wasn't distance in her eyes. There was fire. And you still keep coming back. I exhaled. Maybe I don't want to stop. Her jaw tightened, but her body leaned, just barely, toward mine. For a moment neither of us moved. Her hand lifted, then faltered, fingertips brushing the collar of my shirt, hesitating there like she might pull back. But she didn't. You don't know what this would cost, she said. I don't care. You should. I can't. Her hand fell away, but I caught it before it dropped completely. The skin of her wrist was warm, her pulse quick beneath it. Clara, I said, voice low, tell me to go. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Then footsteps, a voice outside. Male, her son. She went pale. The sound of keys again, the creak of the front steps. She looked at me, wide-eyed, like she'd just woken from something she couldn't name. You need to go, she whispered, almost a plea. I didn't move. My thumb brushed the inside of her wrist once, slow. A heartbeat stretched between us. The doorknob turned. Her breath trembled against my neck. Please, she whispered, but I didn't step back. Couldn't. Her son's voice came muffled through the door. Mom? You home? Her eyes flicked to my lips, then back up again. Desperate, terrified, and something else beneath it. Don't, she whispered. But when she said it, she didn't move away. The space between us shrank to almost nothing. And just as our breaths tangled, the sound of the door unlocking, her son stepped into the house before she could answer. Hey, he called, voice light, careless. Then his eyes landed on me. Oh hey, you're the delivery guy, right? Clara's hand dropped from mine so fast it almost made a sound. Yes, she said quickly. He was just leaving. I forced a smile. Forgot to get a signature. Her son Daniel grinned. Mom's famous for forgetting things. He set down his backpack and opened the fridge, talking over his shoulder. She's been ordering way more lately. You must be tired of this street by now. Not yet, I said. Clara shot me a look. Sharp, warning, but underneath it, a flicker of something else. Daniel laughed, poured himself a drink, then turned toward her. You should probably stop giving him excuses to hang around. Excuses? She asked, tone too light. He shrugged. You leave the door unlocked half the time. You talk too long. I'm just saying, people notice stuff. Silence. He didn't mean it the way it landed, but it hit anyway. When he finally went upstairs, the echo of his footsteps lingered like smoke. She didn't move. I didn't either. Then she turned to me, voice quiet but sharp at the edges. You shouldn't have stayed. You didn't tell me to go. Her jaw tightened. He's not stupid. He hears things. He asked me about you last night. I frowned. About me? She nodded, arms folding over her chest. A shield she didn't used to need. He said he saw your car outside a few nights ago. My stomach sank. You told him? Of course not. But her eyes, they said something else. Regret. Fear. Maybe even relief. You thought about it, I said. She turned away, bracing her hands on the counter. I can't do this. It's wrong. I know. She looked back at me then, and whatever was holding her together started to crack. You think this is about the age? It's not. It's about what it means. What does it mean? That I let you in. Her voice caught. She pressed her palm to her forehead like she wanted to push the thought out. I didn't plan this, she whispered. I wanted someone to talk to. Just that. But then you kept showing up, and you made it. She trailed off, breath unsteady. Made it what? Hard to breathe. The words hung there. Quiet. Final. Like they'd been waiting between us for weeks. I stepped closer. She didn't back away this time. Her body trembled, not from fear, but from holding too much inside for too long. I reached up, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. My fingertips grazed her cheek. She closed her eyes, just once, as if surrendering to something she'd already lost control of. When she opened them, they were wet. Not tears, not yet, but close. I can't keep pretending this doesn't matter, she said. Then don't. She looked at me for a long time, searching for a reason to stop. When she found none, she whispered, Then stay. Outside, thunder rolled low and close, like the world was warning us. But neither of us moved. The rain hadn't stopped, hadn't even slowed. The world outside her kitchen window was all blur. Streaks of water sliding down glass, the streetlights trembling in the distance. She stood by the counter, both hands wrapped around a mug she wasn't drinking from. I leaned against the doorframe, waiting for her to say something that could make sense of what she'd just asked me. Then stay. When she finally spoke, her voice was thin, almost quiet enough to miss. You should have walked away the first night. I nodded. I tried. And now? I stepped closer, slow, deliberate. The kind of movement you make when you already know what's about to happen and you still do it anyway. Now I can't. Her breath hitched. A small, fragile sound that almost wasn't there. She turned, setting the mug down too fast. The handle chipped against the counter. She didn't notice. I don't want to ruin this, she said. Whatever this even is. You won't. How can you be sure? I'm not. Her eyes lifted then. Tired, searching, but soft around the edges. Like she wanted to believe me even if she couldn't. When I reached her, she didn't step back. My hand brushed against hers on the counter. Warm. Shaking. She looked down at our hands, then up at me. You're too young to know what happens after. Maybe, I said, but I know what happens if I leave. A silence stretched, the kind that feels alive, heavy with what both people are trying not to say. Her fingers moved, barely, until they found mine. Interlocked. Slow, unsure. You make it sound simple, she whispered. It's not. I could lose everything. You already said you were lonely, I said softly. What's left to lose? That made her flinch, not from anger, but from the truth of it. I reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. My hand lingered near her jaw, close enough to feel the warmth of her breath against my palm. Her eyes flicked to my lips, then back to my eyes. If you do this, she started, but her voice trailed off. Then it's real, I finished. Her shoulders dropped. A small exhale. Her body leaned forward just enough that our foreheads touched. Light, trembling. Every second after that felt suspended. No sound. No words. Just the hum of electricity under the skin. She whispered, "You don't know what you're asking for." I whispered back, "Yes, I do." For a moment we didn't move, caught somewhere between wanting and consequence. Then she turned her face slightly, and our lips nearly met, a breath away, when the thunder cracked outside, sharp and final. She pulled back, eyes closing, jaw tight. "Don't make me choose," she said. I swallowed hard. "You already did." Her eyes opened again. Steady now, full of something raw and certain. She reached out, her hand on my chest, over my heart, not pulling me closer, not pushing me away, just feeling it. And in that silence we both knew, whatever this was, it had changed both of us for good. Morning came gray and slow. The storm had passed, but the air still carried that damp, electric stillness, the kind that follows a night when too much was said, and not enough. Clara stood by the window in a worn cardigan, hands around a mug of coffee that had already gone cold. She looked smaller somehow, or maybe just real, the version of herself no one else got to see. I sat at the kitchen table, the same one where everything started. The light from the window stretched across her face, soft and uneven. Neither of us had spoken for a while. It wasn't silence made of distance. More like the kind that comes when there's finally nothing left to hide behind. When she turned toward me, she didn't look away this time. "You stayed," she said. "Yeah." A small nod. "You shouldn't have." "I know." She set the mug down and came closer, each step careful, deliberate. "You don't understand what this looks like to other people." "I don't care what it looks like." Her lips pressed into a line. "You will one day." "Maybe," I said. "But not today." She almost smiled, almost. "You talk like someone who's never lost something they weren't supposed to want." "Maybe that's what this is," I said. "Something we both weren't supposed to want." Her eyes softened, her guard slipping for the first time since that night. "You make it sound simple." "It isn't," I said. "It's just real." She exhaled, the kind of breath that sounded like surrender. I stood, stepping close enough to feel her warmth. Her hand lifted, fingertips brushing the side of my face. Soft, hesitant, but sure enough to make my pulse trip. "Do you regret it?" I asked. She shook her head, slow, steady. "No." I regret how long it took to admit it. The space between us closed without effort. My hand found hers, warm, trembling. She didn't pull away. We stayed like that, just holding on. No kiss, no grand moment. Just quiet. Just us. Her head tilted, resting against my shoulder. The weight of it felt like something I'd been carrying and finally set down. "I don't know what happens after this," she murmured. "Then we'll figure it out," I said. "One cup at a time." That made her laugh. Small, real, almost a sigh. Outside, the world was still wet and glinting. The kind of morning that promised nothing but a beginning. She leaned into me a little more, her fingers threading through mine. "You're going to make this complicated," she whispered. "Probably," I said. Her smile lingered against my shoulder. "Good." We didn't move after that. We didn't need to. Sometimes the ending isn't walking away or giving in. It's just staying. Just breathing the same air. Long enough to know that something real happened here. And it did. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?